Well, the U.S. State Department issued a global travel alert for all U.S. citizens to exercise worldwide caution because of gay pride events, because, of course, June is Gay Pride Month. I mean, they don't issue these all that often, and here was one just within the last few days. So what are they saying? They're saying that Americans can be subject to terrorism abroad because we support gay rights, but other backwater places you might travel don't. So if you go to a pride event, you are a brave trailblazer, and that makes you a target for terrorism.
This is such garbage.
Yes.
This is such garbage. I mean, to me, it's I'm going to call it a dog whistle. This is exactly what this is.
Yeah.
Right? Like, and it's in like the loudest form of like virtue signaling possible. Like,
right. Okay.
Are you one of the brave people that supports trans rights? If you go out anywhere into the world,
you'll be persecuted
you
for it.
might experience terrorism.
You are basically a suffragette if you do this, right?
Right.
And so, but let's just think for a second. Okay, if you're really worried about people going to pride events and maybe getting faced with combat situations, would you wear this? Would you, if you think
that's a tactical bra.
Right. If you if you think you might be subject to terror, maybe you want to suit up a little better. What do you think? Is this good combat gear if you know you're going somewhere where there'll be terrorists?
You're naked
Thoughts?
on. No, first of all, I pity that bike. I pity that bike seat, and that's disgusting.
Yeah, and I'm so worried about like pulled pubes. That seems like it could get in a gear and hurt a lot. But that's where my mind went.
I'm glad your mind went there.
Really shouldn't have your pubes anywhere near the gear. I don't know how you ride a bike, but
the bicycle seat has like springs on it. Something's
It's a low rider.
gonna.
She
Yeah,
rides a low rider.
I ride. I know. Okay, I don't do a lot of bike riding. That just seems very uncomfortable. But also, again, like if you're really like, hey, you might experience some terror, maybe you should wear any clothes, like some combat boots or something like that. That just seems not very practical if you really care about people.
But again, these are very brave ambassadors for the LGBTQ plus I plus TZ cause. So they're out there. They're out there. They're free balling it, and they're showing the world.
Yeah. But there's no like what to do about it. It's just be vigilant. It's not like, pack some Band-Aids, a helmet.
Yeah, what do you pack to go to a terrorism event? What do you...
I don't know, but something. You got to have something, not nothing, not nudity.
Not a tactical bra like
well,
that guy.
let me know what you guys think. I mean, if you're going into a dangerous situation, do you want to go naked? That seems like the most vulnerable that you could be.
There's certain situations I'd want to go naked, but not this.
No, this is not it,
this,
right? Okay.
this.
All right, let's move on. Let's go back to the alert. Is it true that this is a dog whistle to sow division and remind the world that, we Americans, we're the progressive ones and other countries should learn for us? The government is basically saying you need to stay alert at pride celebrations and venues that are frequented by LGBTQI plus persons. Again, also, if they meant it, maybe they would say, try not to drink alcohol when you go to these boozy events, because if you're boozy and tipsy, you can't be on the lookout for terrorists, right? If you're going to stay alert. So they don't it's not practical. It's not a very practical suggestion. Like maybe don't drink, maybe wear some clothes, maybe have a Band-Aid and, it's nothing.
Yeah,
Just
like if
go vulnerable to these pride events and hope there's not a terrorist.
Yeah, like you don't want to have like 2 drinks in if ISIS shows up.
Really, I wouldn't.
You won't be able to like go prone as quickly as possible. Plus, if you go prone and anything's like not prone, it could break and hurt. Like you gotta be prepared when Osama comes around.
These are my thoughts exactly. There's no practical tips on what you do.
But this is the State Department's. I love that the State Department's taken time out of its day to issue this alert.
Right.
These alerts.
Exactly. So another question I have is, which are the terrorist groups that are targeting pride events? Do you know of any? Clayton, have you heard of any terrorist groups who are particularly upset about pride events?
I'm going to probably think these terrorists that the Biden administration is probably targeting. They're probably Trump supporters. They're probably MAGA, white supremacist
it's
Trump
a
supporters.
Travel advisory.
But there could be MAGA Trump supporters in other countries. You don't know.
Tehran?
They are the greatest. I don't know if you know this, but MAGA white supremacists are the greatest threat to world world security.
Okay.
So you could be in Hungary and you could see like somebody in a Make America Great Again hat, and that's probably a terrorist.
Okay.
That's my first instinct.
Is this tracking with you guys? Do you feel like this is something we need to be worried about?
I mean, that's what Mayorkas told us, and so we need to be careful. Blinken is also concerned about that.
Well, yeah. I would just like to take this opportunity to remind you that the last time that a terrorist did attack a gay club, it had absolutely nothing to do with homophobia. The narrative of the Orlando Pulse nightclub shooting from 2016 was a complete lie from the government and the media, and they helped each other tell it. So when a man in 2016 opened fire in a gay nightclub in Florida, he was not homophobic. He could give a shit about gayness. He was protesting the U.S. war on civilians in Afghanistan, and he said so. The media held that from us. It had nothing to do with him being a closeted, self-hating homophobe. He was not that.
And he didn't even know what the club was about.
He didn't.
He actually tried to go to Disney World first, didn't he?
Yes, I'm going to show you that in a second. So here is the Eiffel Tower and CNN with a rainbow flag trying to honor the victims of the shooting in 2016. Here is a Guardian columnist having an absolute hissy fit and walking off Sky News because the host would not admit that the shooting was homophobia, because it wasn't.
This has to be called out for what it is. It was an intentional attack on LGBT people. This person,
on the freedom of all people to try and enjoy themselves as Bataclan
No, I'm
was.
sorry. Can we just explain? You don't understand this because you're not gay, okay? So just
whether
listen.
I'm gay or not has no.
No, it does.
It,
Can you just
it has
just
no.
listen?
It has no reflection on the fact this
you have
person
ownership.
killed.
You have ownership
exactly.
of horror of this crime.
Can I just say,
because
I
you're
find
gay.
this
I'm
right.
I'm not Jewish and I'm not
Excuse
gay.
me.
I'm not.
I've had enough of this. Let me go home. Sorry.
Owen,
No way.
genuinely, we're trying to have a civilised conversation.
I
know you're upset. You're upset,
I am.
and you're
I'm very upset.
I'm
Very
quite
upset.
right. Everyone's upset and angry about this, but storming off a TV set.
Right. Well, I think we'll
Okay,
continue the
carry
press
on.
preview.
Okay, that's what Coleman Hughes in his book, The End of Race Politics, calls the myth of superior knowledge, because if you're not a part of a group, you don't get it. So you don't get to talk. Shut up. Now, on CNN, they lost their voices screaming about hate crimes and gay rights and homophobia after this. Only this was not a story of homophobia. The Orlando nightclub shooter Omar Mateen did not care about gayness at all. He cared that the U.S. stop bombing the Middle East and wanted to avenge those war crimes. Mateen was of Afghan heritage, and he told his hostages that his motive was to stop the U.S. from bombing his country and also stop bombing Syria and Iraq and killing, this is a quote, he wanted them to stop killing a lot of innocent people. Now, I get it. He killed innocent people. That was obviously horrific, but at least we honor the victims by honoring what they really died for. And it had nothing to do with who they love. That's the real story of the Pulse nightclub shooting. But it has not stopped the One Pulse Foundation from fundraising on the gay pride movement. Now the city of Orlando is building a big gay pride monument or something in this location. Here's the mayor's tweet about it. You can see the imagery here, right? Front and center, rainbow flags, what seems to be lesbians standing out there, sad about their community. What this should be is not a gay pride or any kind of homophobic type of awareness monument. It should be an anti-war memorial, because as long as the U.S. still kills people in Afghanistan and abroad, extremists will keep attacking innocent civilians. A gay pride memorial does not honor these deaths at all. An anti-war memorial would do that. And in fact, when Mateen held these hostages inside the club, here's what he wrote on his Facebook page just before. This is from Scott Horton's book about it. He says, "You have to stop Americans from stop bombing Iraq and Syria." Here's the quote. He said it repeatedly. Why did they not tell us this? Why did they give us all of this sadness around homophobia? And why did he choose a gay club? Well, when the Justice Department tried to prosecute his wife, they found that he originally had his sights set on Disney World, but figured the security was too tight. And of course, we don't even want to think about how awful it would have been. And what's more, Orlando police waited outside the club for hours as people inside bled to death. And when cops finally arrived, they opened fire and killed civilians too. And no one was ever held accountable. And the shooter was a subscriber to al-Nusra, who was al-Nusra's big supporter inside the U.S. government? Barack Obama. He called them moderates and gave them all their weapons, allowed them to become extremists. They're not moderates. So the State Department can say all they want about wanting to keep Americans safe abroad because they want to go to pride events, that they will not be keeping anyone safe with an alert like this. They would be keeping Americans safe if they stopped waging war on civilians abroad, stop supporting terrorists, stop overthrowing governments, stop pretending people hate us because of our freedoms and gayness. They hate us because of our government's murderous record. So if you want to buy this bullshit terror alert, State Department about pride events, you go right ahead.
I really hope you enjoyed watching this video. You know, YouTube thinks that you'll actually like this next video right here. It's personalized based on your own viewing habits. So if you watch the video, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think about it. And we will see you next time, everyone.